Hello everyone, welcome to the first chapter of the Huawei HCIP OpenEULER course. This section, we will continue to introduce the common service management of OpenEULER. In the previous section, we have created a vegetable information database in the mall, and the table contains vegetable names, price, quantities, and owners. In this section, we will practice common circle operations based on this database.
First, we prepare an x86 server running an OpenEULER 22.03, and then we enter the first command. Yum provides MyCircle server starts in OpenEULER to view the MyCircle version supported by the Yum source of OpenEULER. Okay, after waiting, you can see that the version 8 and 5 can be installed. And then after that, you can run the yum install-y MyCircle server to install the default version of MyCircle. Then, after the installation is complete, we can run the system control start MyCircle D to start the MyCircle server. We can use system control starters to check the service. Now it's running. We can run the ss command to check whether the MyCircle port is listened on. If it's yes, the MyCircle service is started normally. And now we directly run MyCircle command to log in the MyCircle database. The current database user is root. The default password of root is empty for the MyCircle database of version 8. Therefore, you can log into the MyCircle database without entering the password. However, the permission is low. So here we must initialize the password before performing the next operation. We can use the command to configure the password for the root user. We use alert user root at localhost identified by Huawei at 123. It indicates that we use a localhost to connect MyCircle interface, then identified by the password, for example, Huawei at 123. And here the alert indicates the DDL data definition language. And query OK means the operation finished. After the modification, we can exit the database. We run the MyCircle -u root-p the password Huawei at 123 command to log into the MyCircle database as a user root. The username is here -u root. After that, -p command to the password. After logging to the MyCircle, we can run the /h for help. And here we also can run the show databases command to check the database with the permission of root user. We note that all commands need to end with the semicolon. And these are some default database after we installed in MyCircle. Also, we can use select user host from mycircle.user. It means we check the user and host information from database mycircle.user table. The user and its host information for database is displayed. Okay, after that, we exit the MyCircle database. The main configuration file of MyCircle database is etc my.config. We can use the win command to check the configuration. You can see that the client server and server MyCircle-D are not configured separately. Besides this, other configurations are stored in etc my.conf.d directory. We can switch to this directory. You can see that it has a MyCircle server config file. If you want to set the parameters, you can write the parameters in the main configuration file. For example, here we have a lot of basic parameters in configuration file. For example, the base directory is MyCircle installation path. Data directory for storing MyCircle data. Port, listening port of the MyCircle server. Server ID, which is used during cluster configuration. Socket configuration. You can use the interface to quickly log into the MyCircle instance of weird port. And TM directory for storing temporary files. And besides this, you can also add some tuning parameters such as max connections and max connect arrows and wait timeout. This is the seconds to wait for the active before the server close and non-interactive connection, and so on. And also, the MyCircle management tools, MyCircle admin, can also run some basic commands to query the status, create and delete databases. Through MyCircle --help, you can check the command, and we will also try it later. In MyCircle, the circle statements are case insensitive. It is recommended that the commands can be uppercase and the table name can be in lowercase. For example, the sentence for query user information, we can use select user host from mycircle.user in lowercase. And of course, you can also replace the command with uppercase. It will look more clear. And we're back to the command line interface to show you. For example, the command select user and host from the table mycircle.user. We can replace it within the uppercase, it will be select user and host from the table mycircle.user, and select and from is a command, so we use the uppercase, lowercase for the parameters and the table name. So now the command looks more cleaner. Then we're back to our slides. Besides this, you can enter the single line or double line circle statement and use the semicolon at the end of the circle statement. Also, you can use the hash or double dash to add a single line command. For the multiple line command, you can use hash start and start hash. In the mycircle command like Lite, commands can be indented and wrapped as required. Indentation can be done using the space or tab key. However, it is important to note that excessive indentation can cause problems with command execution because mycircle may not parse the command properly. We're back to the command line and try the mycircle admin tool. And first, we run the mycircle admin -u root -p, the password status command to view the current mycircle status. And it's including the running time, number of threads, and number of requires. And also, we can run the command mycircle admin root password and version command to view the version information in this environment. For example, here our version is 8.0.37. And also you can use process list to view these threads that are active in mycircle and run the flash tables command to refresh all tables and also flash threads. To refresh all logs, we can run the ping command to check whether the mycircle service is normal. If the command output is mycircled is alive, you can run the mycircle admin --help command to view the supported commands. Besides the preceding commands, kill strings and shut down services, create and delete database. All these commands we can use. And also we can try to use the command create test creates a database named test. And then we switch to the mycircle. After that, we use show databases. let's check. Here, we can see the test command has been created. Okay, we exit the database and now we try to use drop test. Yes, confirm. After that, we reconnect to the database again, use show databases to check that the test had been deleted. Now let's try to create some database and the data. First, we create a vegetable database of the vegetable products in a store. The table attributes are the ID, the name, the price and quantity, and the PIC, person in charge. Log into the database to create the database. Because the vegetable name owner name contains characters, so we set the characters to UTF-8 and B4 when creating the database. So we first run a command. Create database name vegetables and character set UTF-8 and B4. After query OK, we again use show databases. And here the vegetable databases has been created. We can run the use command to access the new created database. The database has been changed. We can use select database to check current databases. And also, we can use select user to view the current user. Root at localhost. Then we create the vegetable information table. First, we use a command create table vegetables. Give the table's architecture and type. First one, ID small int, no sign, primary key. It means here we create the table. The new table name is vegetables. ID with the data types small int, and unsigned means that it can store integers in the range 0 through 655 and 35. The column is primary key of the table. Continue the name. This new column name with the data type voucher and the length 10. It means that it can store strings up to a length of 10. Not null means the vegetable's name cannot store null values. The third column, price decimal 5, 2. It means the price with the data type decimal and can store a total of 5 digits with 2 decimal places, such as 0.99 to 99.99. Then we continue, create next column named quantity. And data type also decimal 7 digits with 2 decimal places. Create a column named PIC, person in charge. This column has the same data types as the name column. Water, and has the length 10. Also, not no. Query OK. Operation finished. Then we use show tables to check the table is successfully created. And continue, we can use DESC. Vegetables. To check the table's architecture, here we can see the field and the type, and whether it can be the no value. And the first one, the ID, is the primary key. Okay, we can also use show table status like vegetables to check the status of this table. And after confirm, now we add the data. Here we use the insert vegetables values. First column, the ID is 1 for vegetables, cabbage. Price is no. Quantity 200. And the person in charge, David. Second column, second line, ID is 2. Vegetables, potato. Price 2.16. 300. Person is Mike. Continue. 3. Greens. 6. 150. Check. 4. Tomato. 5.2. $2.30. Ton. 4. cucumber, price 8, 3.30. Also check. Let's see, cucumber 5. Tomato 5. And then the final one, semicolon. Now, query OK means the operation finished. Then we can use select all information, select stars from vegetables. To view the data, here we have create the vegetables with ID 1 to 5 and cabbage, potato, greens, tomato, and cucumber. And here it is the price, quantity, and the responsibility person. After create a table, now we take some query operations. Query all information about the vegetables that Jack is in charge of from the table. We can use select stars from vegetables where PIC equals to Jack, and query the name and price of the vegetables that Jack is responsible for from the table. We can use select name, price from vegetables where PIC equals to Jack, and here is the result. Continue, query all information about the vegetables that Jack or David is in charge of from the table. We can modify, select stars from vegetables where PIC equals to Jack or PIC equals to David. Now the PIC with David and Jack is displayed. Continue. We find all information about vegetables with a price of more than $7 and the quantity less than 180 from the table, we can use select start from vegetables where price more than 7 and quantity less than 180. Here, no vegetables meet these requirements, so it's empty set. Then we can search the table for all information about vegetables. That's a person whose initials are D is responsible for the vegetables. And this is the fuzzy query. We can use select starts from vegetables where PIC is not equals to, it's like the percent. Debit is displayed. Also, if you want to modify the data, for example, to change the price of cabbage, change it to 4.2, we can use update. Vegetables set price to 4.2, where ID equals to 1. Query OK. Then we can check the result. We use select. Price from vegetables where ID equal 1. Here the price 4.2 is displayed. So the modification take effect. After query, next part we try to create a user and authorizing it. Create user, vegetable user, and allow it to perform select queries on the database. Create user, vegetable admin, and grant all permissions on the database. Set the password to capital H Huawei at 123. First, we create the user. We run the command create user vegetable user identified by Huawei at 123. And next, we create vegetable admin. After that, flash privileges. Refresh the permissions for user changes to take effect. Then we run the use MyCircle command to access the MyCircle system database. We can run show tables. You can view the user data table. Now we started to grant the privilege to this new user. First, we grant all privileges on vegetables to vegetable admin. Then we grant select query privileges to vegetable user when user logged into the database, only the select query can be used. After the admin and user permission are granted, log out of the root user. Then we log into the database by the new user and check whether the permission take effect. So we exit now. First, we use vegetable user log into the database. The login is successful. We use vegetables. Database changed. Select all information from vegetables. We can query the data because we only grant the selected permission. So if we try to use update vegetables, it will see command deny because we don't have the permission of modifying select insert. Then we log out, switched to vegetable admin user. Also use vegetables. The theme, select all information from vegetables. We try to update the vegetable tables, query OK. So you can see that the permissions are open. Also, it can support to change the table name. Alert table vegetables rename as vegetable 1. After that, we can use show tables. The name has been changed. Finally, we delete the table and database. We can use drop table vegetable 1 and also drop the database vegetables. After that, we switch to use the user root login to the MyCircle. We drop the user vegetable user and vegetable admin. Drop user vegetable admin. So far, we are familiar with the operations of MyCircle database.
In these two sections, we installed MyCircle and practiced common operations with the case of more vegetables. That's all for the introduction to MyCircle. Thank you for watching.